Why don't we go outside for a second? Then we can go back in.
Why? What's going on, Dad?
Welcome back, everyone, to MaJaMa Jams, a show where we discuss other people's work to avoid doing our own. And today is an exciting day because we're starting a new segment called MaJaMa Saves Hollywood, where we actually go out to the theater and see a movie in person to save this dying industry. So today we have a great one to kick off with. It is the always divisive, sometimes alienating, sometimes beloved, but never boring M. Night Shyamalan's new feature, Trap.
All right? Hi. Cooper. Jamie. What's with all the police trucks outside? The cameras everywhere, Jamie. I'm not supposed to tell.
And boy, oh boy, if you take a look at the Rotten Tomatoes, as I obsessively do, he has split the critics down the middle with 55%, and we had a similar effect inside of our group. So what I'm going to do, since I kind of represent the same as this guy here, is I'm going to play moderator, and we're going to do point counterpoint, because the man himself, the master Shyamalan, always has this effect.
We'll all get paid if we're successful. If we're not, we don't get paid. And I don't think it should be the other way. That's just my philosophy. It drives me. It drives me when I do it like that.
I'm going to start with Matteo, who's actually been a longtime fan, and I agree with him that I think he's one of the most consistently original storytellers in Hollywood. Whether or not it connects or whether or not you like him, M. Night Shyamalan. Oh. We're talking about it. Did you hear my intro?
No, I wasn't paying attention.
So Matteo, tell me what you thought of Trapped.
Trap.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Trap. Why did I say that?
Is something wrong, Dad?
Because we are trapped.
Admiral Akbar's favorite Shyamalan movie.
It's a trap!
I enjoyed it. It's the stupidest, silliest, goofy. There is a bunch of your disbelief needs to be extremely suspended. But overall, I thought that it was a fun romp in a thriller.
Would you say Hitchcockian?
Almost.
Yeah.
Looks really cool.
What?
Almost.
Vibes in there?
Where the protagonist needs to figure out a lot of things as he goes along, and he's shown as he's figuring them out. Sometimes with success, sometimes without it. And I thought that Josh Hartnett was weirdly functional to the movie-ish.
I read a lot of books about people with psychopathy who were, busted for killing people. And one of the kind of main traits that a lot of writers found with them is that they're very charming. Necessarily charming because they want to put you at your ease before they do something terrible to you.
I'm sorry, do you mean that is it's strange he's functional, or he's functional in a weird way?
Yes. And
I was genuinely asking for a distinction.
No, I think that it worked for what it was, the role. And that was it. It is a movie that takes place almost in real time, give or take. And the first two acts are in the same place, and the third one, it leaves that place, but we're still with the exact same characters. And yeah, I had, it was an interesting experience. By the way, the story very briefly is a father takes his daughter to a concert, and as he is there, he realizes the whole concert and the whole arena has been turned into a trap for a serial killer. And
it's an absolutely fantastic hook.
We found out that the serial killer is him. It's not a big spoiler because
it's in the trailer.
I can't stop. I'll just do this one last one.
Yeah.
So
but beside that is kind of like it's clear that's who he is, and the whole movie is him trying to figure out how to leave the place, as well as if other people are cleverer than he is to unmask and or capture him.
Enjoy the rest of the concert.
That's basically the story.
And now, as a massive counterpoint, we're going to turn to Matthew, who about 20 minutes into this leaned over at me and said, "What the F is this?" So I kind of knew what he was thinking. Matthew, why don't you tell us, and don't mince words, what you thought of Trap?
I just have nothing but bitter disdain for this film. It is so stupid in terms of the choices it makes in just in the world building and also the choices he makes, that that it can't possibly give me enough realistic stakes that I care about him escaping or getting out of here, because it just seems like this is a cartoon world where nothing makes sense.
So the characters go to a concert. Okay, what happens? What happens? What happens? And then I remembered this kind of old event from the 80s where the FBI and the police made a sting operation for all of these criminals. And it really happened, and it was hilarious and weird, and it worked. And I was like, well, maybe they're catching someone here. And then I thought of this idea of a trap.
Now, you were kind of instantly...
I was foaming at the mouth, so excited. Like I was.
That was because we were eating the
that didn't happen.
Stop popping Mentos and Coke in the movie.
I was so excited, and I was just bored towards the end, but I was just so excited. Where I'm like, go. I thought because I kept thinking it was going to end, because I wanted to just tear it apart with you guys. And I look at you like, oh, I already liked it. Mateo was like, yeah, I thought it was going to, like, what?
And you're like, son of a... No, I could hear you. There's a part at the end where it keeps going, and he was just like, I literally saw you put your hand down your head. You said kind of instantly your ears went up because of the delivery and pronunciation of Hartnett's lines, the way that he talked. Like,
it reminded me instantly of Mark Wahlberg in The Happening.
What? No.
Where it's just like, why are you speaking like a third grade school teacher? And like your daughter's 12 or 13, something like that. Why are you speaking to her like she's a little girl? And I get that you're supposed to juxtapose him to being a serial killer, and when you see him at the end all dark and mysterious and brooding, it's like, oh damn, you was such a nice guy in the beginning, but...
Look at the stage where that guy came out. I wonder what's down there. Hey, we should climb down and see where it leads.
Like, he seems like he's playing it up too much, and I have to imagine that's Knight's direction versus Hartnett's performance.
Well,
at least the choice of that.
I found a quote I showed you guys when we were discussing it that, you know, Knight, he specifically calls him out on that. What was the word he used? And I'm like, okay, he's blatantly saying it. Not cheesy, but like the quote used something where he said, what's up with that type of delivery? And I had to look up the adjective, because it was something like, okay, we know what this cheesy reminiscent of that. And he was like, he said something like the degree of, you know, it's happening when a character is experiencing something intense, so if I play it as a little askew, then you're more comfortable.
He was talking about the zoom in.
You know the butcher? The freaking nut job that goes around just chopping people up?
Close-up shots, right?
Oh yeah, you hated the zoom-ins too?
I mean, I get what he's trying to, you know, the comedy of, oh my God, yeah, I'm just trying to have a nice conversation, but I am the serial killer you're looking for, oh my God. But I'm like, it almost seems like you're forcing that so hard by doing those ridiculously, perfectly centered, insane close-ups.
Well, except for when there are the half a shot of Josh Hartnett's face. There's in 3 moments where he is...
The main crux
so
of
it doesn't
this...
seem like heavy-handed directing versus like, oh, here's a clever way to sell this idea. Like I said, when he's like, oh, if the daughter's like, oh, there's the Lady Raven, who the girl they go to see in concert, she always picks a girl for a certain song to bring up on stage, and they get to go backstage where they could possibly escape through the back and not have to go through all the army of police officers and SWAT teams they have guarding the stadium. So when the daughter says that, it's like, oh, he gets the idea in his head, obviously, oh, okay, maybe if I find a way to get her to be the one that's picked, we can get out that way. But instead of just like giving your audience some credit to understand that, we get a zoom into Josh Hartnett's face from her saying that. I'm like, why? That seems like so like first time director mistake where it's so like obvious choice to do with the pen.
Well,
or zoom, whatever you
this
call it.
is what I feel like will be the crux of this interesting conversation, is that we did a count, and I believe we said this was Knight's 16th written and directed by. Granted, the first one I think you said you hadn't seen was way first starting back in India, and then we kick off here with Wide Awake. But we're up to 16.
Is he Indian? Is that why the skin is?
16 written and directed bys. And my point is it kind of seems like it'd be impossible to say these things just happened at this point. Love them or hate them.
I don't think they're mistakes. I don't think any.
But I'm saying that it's intriguing then.
Or I don't think they're intentional.
We can say this is intentional now because I think it's impossible that Knight would not have.
I felt the same way watching Old.
It's hard to explain.
Here's what I think is interesting.
Tonally wise.
This would be less interesting of a discussion if, similar to the recently maligned Borderlands, you check the Rotten Tomatoes score and it's like 8%. You're like, okay, this is kind of a flame out and even if you want to say, hey, you idiot. Who cares about Rotten Tomatoes? Who cares about critics? It's still a group
tell
of
you that all
human
the time.
beings. Most people do, but a group of human beings had a congruent opinion. Put it that way. It's more interesting when the critics, who are notoriously harder than usually the audience score on like a Michael Bay Transformers is very high, because who cares? Your critics are douchebags. I want to have fun. But the critic scores at 55, which means, similar to MaJaMa, critics are split as to whether or not this was fun or
They're
stupid.
split.
They're also having a sixth sense about whether or not this movie's plot is unbreakable, because there's some signs
Yeah, we
that
get
whatever...
You know, I was actually flowing with him.
Damn it, see, I was going to see if I could do every one. You have no faith in me. You have no faith in me. I was going to do all of them, and now the momentum
I
is
mean,
broken.
in your defense, I was trying to shut him down from the very first one too, but after he got through like 3 or 4, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but then he would get to Stuart Little, and it would be just like...
I was only going to do the written and directed advice.
Oh, I see.
So,
This is serious. Come on.
sorry. Oh, God, it's going to haunt me if I could have pulled it off now. I'll be laying in bed tonight thinking if I could have done
Make
that.
it a tweet
Yes.
that we don't have to read.
So, I think that's the main crux of it, is that it'd be fun. We could volley back and forth forever, but clearly something is happening here where Knight did something intentional that split people.
Could we combine the idea of a concert and an idea of a thriller together in one experience, and really get both things in one moment where you feel, wow, I'm overwhelmed by the music, but I'm also terrified from the thriller?
I think it would not be interesting if it was massively ravaged critically wise, but I do believe something is going on here where, and I found a blurb today that said, you know what, this movie is dumber than a bag of rocks, but an interesting word choice, is performed so earnestly that you just kind of go with it, and within that world you're entertained. And that's why, so every point that you brought up, I was like, yes, you're not wrong. I acknowledged it, and I don't care because I had fun.
But how can you be invested in the story where it's supposed to be like, oh, okay, not a cat and mouse necessarily, but how am I going to get out of this trap if there's no realistic stakes that he's like fighting against? Like I said, just stupid things like him pushing a girl down a flight of stairs in front of 300 people in the lobby so he can cause a
But
distraction.
maybe
and
that's
get
supposed
away.
to be funny.
But
Here's the
then
thing,
if you
here's the
are
thing.
doing stupid humor like that, like I said, that takes away the stakes.
I can't confirm this, but a buddy of mine who's pretty movie obsessed, so I don't know why he didn't read it directly, but he said, Knight said, yes, this is supposed to be funny, and the article I did read, the question that I was bringing up, the guy mentions the comedy, and Knight also says the comedy. So
I mean, there
even
are
if you
there
think
are
it-
attempted comedy of like the dude is selling T-shirts
I'm not supposed to tell.
and Kid Cudi's cameo.
homosexual.
I
I honestly thought the angle they were going to play is that Hartnett was going to fake flirt with him to get out that way.
dude, I would have preferred that.
When Cuddy looks back and like shows his buttock,
The
and there's
fact
a
that he comes up with the idea to go into the dressing room of, let's say, a Taylor Swift type, and they're alone in that dressing room. Not a single person around, or a publicist, a manager to say, hey, we got to get you to do this interview in 5 minutes, we got to get you home, we got to blah, 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 blah. You would be swarmed by 50 people who are on your team, let alone exiting the building.
This whole concert? It's a trap.
And for some reason, that doesn't raise any red flags that an audience member and her father are now going with the main star alone in a limo out. That's not going to perk up anyone's ears. And why would he not be stopped for the checkpoint just because she's with her?
Okay,
You think you would stop an average person if you're stopping every single male in that vicinity?
I want to know how you would verbally describe it, because I relate.
It's just so stupid.
Well, because I relate to that because I don't care, and so I think there's something with the oppressive stupidity. How would you describe why you like this, despite
How can you put up with someone like him and
despite
appreciate his company and presence in your life?
despite
We share the same part of the couch. So.
despite
Knee to knee.
understanding and acknowledging the same as I do his critiques? How do
your
you
finger out of my
explain
face.
you still enjoy? How would you put it? Because you get what he's saying, you understand, you agree,
completely.
the same
Yeah,
I do.
absolutely.
So how do you describe still having fun?
I would say that is as if I were witnessing a music concert where everything goes wrong, and yet I love the music so much that I go through it no matter what, because I'm still sure that at a certain point I will be surprised.
that big a Lady Raven fan?
Yes.
I play a character called Lady Raven, who is the singer that's, the concert that the main characters arrive to. And then she sort of gets intertwined with the plot and the main characters in the second half of the movie.
That was nice. Because someone said something in a review today where it was like, and it made my ears perk up, it was like, there were parts where I genuinely didn't know what was going to happen next. And I like what you said, that Matthew calls out the blatancy of the stage lift up, and maybe we can go underground to it.
Look at the stage where that guy came out. I wonder what's down there.
But then you made a good point. They focus on that, but then it doesn't happen. So you can call out the stupidity of the fact that
the stupidity is the fact that they left a gaping hole in the middle of the concert floor. It's not the fact that they use that to try to get out.
He makes a good point that he doesn't do anything with it. So
you would say it's a stupid way to try to escape because you probably get caught easily down there by people watching those tunnels. The stupidity I'm pointing out is the fact that you have a gaping trap door open up in the middle of your floor where there are thousands of tween girls who are maybe not drunk, but who knows, just acting stupid, not paying attention.
The one on top of the stairs was drunk.
Yeah, who would fall to their death.
Insane.
Yes.
And that's not a big necessarily point. And usually in a movie, I would be like, all right, that's excusable. It's with suspension of disbelief, whatever. But it just seems like when you compound all these things on top of each other, it's just another thing to add to the pile for me.
You don't like Hartnett's, I think we all...
Also, the quick change. The quick change of him getting into a SWAT uniform, crawling through the tunnels, capturing and knocking out a SWAT officer, I guess, taking his uniform, getting into the car, stealing the limo, then doing the same, another quick change, and getting out through a massive crowd of people who are swarming this limousine, who are also covered by cops who have just arrived on the scene too. He's able to do that twice.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Riley, what was that?
And it's not like, that's why it doesn't make him a criminal mastermind. It just makes him, like I said, it just seemed like blatant TV magic. We're like, oh, that's a great trick, but it's on the TV, so how I can know.
With the editor of the movie.
It's like, I'm watching this on TV, that's a cool trick, but how do I know that's actually being done? Like, if I saw it in front of my face, that'd be cool.
You didn't think he did a good...
But it just seems like you're cheating with editing.
We all go a little mad sometimes, like...
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Hey, sweetie, I really like this concert. And then at the end, I felt like this was very effective, and I feel like reviews called out, and I agree that Hartnett kind of grounds whatever this is.
And I wrote this role for a dad, but he has to be charming and amazing. It's a superstar role. But who, is there a superstar that would come and risk everything and let go of everything and make movies the way I make movies?
I mean, that's why it interests me that you say it's a comedy, because it does feel like a sitcom.
Very committed. And I think he was effective in his Perkins-esque, like, hey, sweetie, you really like this artist? I'm going to go check over here. Hey, I'm the guy you're looking for. I'm the boy. See the guy here? I don't know. It worked for me.
It just seems so heavy-handed and just blunt, like a sitcom actor would do in a sitcom-type plot.
You're a superstar, baby. That was amazing.
Dad.
So I think, guys, we could go back and forth forever, and there'd be valid points, but I think what I want to use to encapsulate this and to encourage you guys to see it, because I think Knight deserves it, there's something at work here. And the fact that the critics kind of represent how my brothers here have been split, and the fact that both have valid points, and the fact that he genuinely wanted to kill M. Night after this, and we genuinely had a good time. I think there's something interesting at work here, and I think it's indicative of love him or hate him. Even if you despise everything, Knight is a consistently original outsider, self-funding, doing original stories that are not IPs, reboots, requels, sequels, prequels, and I think all of that, and the split decision and effect that this has on people of Trap is a recommendation from me. He hates it.
I don't think I could see it again, but I am interested with this lens.
That lens.
To watch it again. I'm not interested.
Right.
But I'm interested.
Eventually, if one day is on cable or something.
I'm in control. Never let the two lives touch.
Well, guys, maybe...
I cannot think of any other director who can actually create this either hatred or love in the audience.
I'm completely with Matteo.
Fascinating.
He has an effect, and he is never boring. And he's kind of skinamarink as a person.
He always gives me something new in any movie he does.
And I didn't like Knock at the Cabin, but I still think about it and its weird choices in that. So guys, see it for yourself. Get out to the theaters. Don't watch it on streaming, you bastards. You're helping kill the industry, but not us, because what is MaJaMa doing? Saving Hollywood. Come back next time for more movies we saw in the theater.
Stay like
Is the timer up? Is the timer up?
No. Stay like this a little longer. No, we can talk. We can talk, but he has to stay like this.
Oh.
Is it over?
No, not yet.
No?
You'll know when it's over.
Do you need me to suck out the saliva from
It's
your
not.
mouth?
It's pooling, but it's not there.
Okay, let's stop.
It's okay.
MaJaMa. MaJaMa.
I see dead people.
What? No.
There's a monster outside my room. Can I have a glass of water?
What? No. What? No.